All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to week 5 injury update. We got Dr. Kyle over here with his coffee. How you doing, Kyle?
Oh my goodness. This coffee will not get us through it. I'm going to need about four more backed up with this one. This is unofficially brought to you by Pick a Bagel. We ordered breakfast at 9:30 this morning and it was here by 9:40. I don't know how. They must know we're going to order the second we wake up. Um, and yeah, I think how I look sums up how everybody's feeling this week 5 Sunday morning. It's almost a good thing we couldn't get it in yesterday, right?
hmm Yeah, I mean,
How
there's
much
so
how
much
much
more to
more
talk about.
information do we have this morning? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we know that Joe Mixon's going to be playing now, so that's big news for us. And
there you
but
go.
there's other news that we got to break as well, like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's been out for a couple weeks and now he's set to play, right?
Jimmy G is back. Yeah, from that high ankle sprain. We talked about this
hmm
how limiting a high ankle sprain could be for those guys who depend on change of direction a bit more, like your skill players, running backs, and receivers. Jimmy G, I think he missed a game or two, and he's good to go. He he's been a mobile quarterback at times in his career, so I think we might see that limited. Maybe a bit more pocket game. Maybe a little bit more shotgun action. Who knows? But
They're
he's a
playing the
go, and
Dolphins. Yeah.
yeah.
So the
Um,
Dolphins don't really have an interior pressure outside of what their Dexter Lawrence, not Dexter Lawrence, but the other Clemson defensive tackle. They took Christian Wilkins. So we'll see what happens with the offense there. But I think that should be a tough matchup for them because Dolphins defense has been improved this year. So
yeah, yeah. By the game, actually. Is
hmm
that game in San Fran?
I believe it is. I'm
Okay, so
starting
that bodes
Preston
well for
Williams
them.
in that matchup.
Are
I
you?
think Preston's set pretty well. Yeah, he's been pretty quiet this year. It's been pretty hard, but
I have not started him in any of my leagues this week, so you can count that. That means he's going off this week, guys.
could see a nice 100-yard game from him and Fitzmagic.
It's got to
But
happen. He's getting the targets. He's getting the looks. He's good
yeah,
for
it's
like
just
5 to 8 looks every game.
and then it's like two catches.
I know. I
It's
know.
been hurtful. And then Sam Darnold, he's been seeing some ghosts. I mean, he's been seeing some injuries.
He needs to see. He needs to see the ghost of Christmas future to see what's going to bring
His
2021
next
for him because
coach.
2020 has been a bit abysmal. He brought a great effort against the Broncos on that Thursday night, at least from
He
an
did.
effort perspective, maybe not from a fantasy or a wins perspective. But he unfortunately has an AC joint sprain of unknown severity. So unlike Josh Allen's, this is on his throwing shoulder. So he's probably going to miss a minimum of well, he'll miss this week. I would expect him to miss the following week, and then they're probably going to take it game by game from there. We might see him doing some individual drills after next week's game, and they'll probably start to use that to gauge what he can do in the future. But I don't know what reason they have to bring him back at this point. So I
Yeah.
think they'll be pretty precautionary with it. I forget if it was the other podcasts I listened to besides DWZ are RJ Bell's Dream Preview and Straight Out of Vegas. Super entertaining. Guy knows his numbers, and they have their football down. And then the GM Shuffle podcast. And on one of
hmm
them, they were talking about how they think that this was sort of bringing Flacco in. Obviously, an injury expedites that. Was a bit of Adam Gase. Like it's almost like a scapegoat for Adam Gase. So
hmm
it's sort of a win-win situation for him where if Flacco comes in and they do better, then it just uh, it just sucks for Sam Darnold. But hopefully, they talk about like what if Sam Darnold ends up in Pittsburgh somehow?
What if he ends up in New England? I mean,
Yeah.
he could go anywhere. He could end up in I think the best place for him would be the 49ers in the long term, but
Oh,
it's going to be interesting for what happens with Sam Darnold if they tank for Trevor. So
yeah.
I really like Sam Darnold as a quarterback, and I think he's being mistreated in New York system. And Adam Gase is just an archaic coach who does not know how to coach.
No.
So I mean, you can see his opening press conference that he had when he was introduced as coach. He was looking around like he didn't know what he's doing. Yeah, I'm a head coach again. Oh, look at this.
He looked like he was seeing ghosts.
Yeah, he was. He literally saw tacos. I think someone edited it in, and it was just funny. He was watching tacos fly around. But
The
before we
taco
go
gift
on
was
to
great.
Lock and Newton, I just want to show this hot piece of merch right here that we're wearing. Only at ViridianGlobal.com you can look at the Dynasty Warzone Collective. We'll have limited edition merch dropping sometime this month for a salute to service. Um, and that's the first time that this has been announced. So big news. If you're listening to this, you're ahead of the game. But we got tanks coming in for our injury updates. We're gonna be wearing tank tops. You're gonna
Oh,
be
I need
sitting
to
on the
order mine.
balcony. Oh yeah, you got it. It's don't I'm not saying the code here, but you got a free
In the
one
meantime, we'll go with
from
a
me.
puppy.
That's even better than a tank, so don't worry. But we're going on to Locke and Newton next because their games have been postponed as they were supposed to play each other this week, and then coronavirus has unfortunately taken its toll on the New England locker room and been
Yep.
postponed to next week. So that means instead of seeing Ripien and Stidham, we're going to see Locke and Newton, right?
Ripen. Yeah, like
Okay.
or Rippin. Mark Rippin, Mark Rippin's son.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that game gets postponed. It means Locke should be a go for next week, and Newton should be COVID free as well.
Yeah.
That's good news
He's
for
been,
that's good news for so many things.
especially for Julian Edelman. You know,
Yes.
I I saw him last week and he just looked deflated. He did not want to try, and he let a guy get a pick six off his hands. It was pretty sad to
Mm,
watch.
yeah,
Um,
that's uncharacteristic of Edelman.
it is. It really was. It was a short pass that he dropped right in his hands, and it bobbled it right into the defender. Um, next up is some Oakland receivers. I believe they're playing Kansas City this week. They're going to be without Brian Edwards, but they have Henry Ruggs coming back. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe Ruggs is back from his hamstring strain. And again, you never know if he's 100% or 95%. We saw Devontae Parker play a bit prematurely with his, and he survived, of course, but he did not look like the Devontae Parker we expected. So
Hmm.
I wonder if there will be a limited route tree for Ruggs or scenarios where he's not on the field versus when he is. But I expect. Would you say? Um, Sorry, that
You're
was
good.
a
You talk
uh,
about
that
Ruggs
was
and.
a real life update from the wife. Yeah, so the Raiders should be playing from behind. I would expect most of this game, though. I do. This is a in division game. I would almost expect to take the under on a game that might be a little bit more smash mouth, as you know the Chiefs have come off of some high energy games, a couple of COVID switches, and I don't know. This one I feel like might be an underperformance from most fantasy relevant guys, but Ruggs is a go. And
Hmm.
I mean, let's be real. At this point, we're all of our depth is struggling at this point.
And speaking about depth, we have some breaking news, Kyle. Just now, as we're reporting this live, Julio Jones declared inactive.
Oh, I
His
wanted to be the
hamstring.
one to declare that. I'm just kidding.
It's
Now, I talked about
the
that on
only
Twitter a
time,
bit
only thing
this
I can
week.
talk about injury wise is breaking news.
Yeah, I was not expecting Julio to play at all this week after re-aggravating last week. Um, yeah, not surprised there, but get your Olamide Zacchaeus in
Yeah,
your DFS
Olamide
lineups.
Zacchaeus. Who knows how
I
to
don't
say
even
that? But
know.
he's awesome. He's a baller. He's got the name for football. Um, and speaking about name for football, Cowboys, America's sweetheart team. Their offensive line is decimated. Tyron Smith and I think it's Joe Looney got
Yeah,
hurt, and they're out.
yeah.
So are
Tyron
they
Smith,
out for
I
the
think is
year?
gonna. I think Tyron Smith is out for the year. I don't think Looney is, but man,
Okay.
remember the good old days of Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins. Boy, oh boy, poor Dak, poor Zeke. They're gonna have to get creative in this offense now.
I don't know how much this hurts Dak Prescott, as he's more of a quarterback who likes to roll out to his right and throw the ball. But he's not going to be able to stand in the pocket for too long. The pocket's going to be he's not going to be able to step up in it for sure
Yeah,
with Looney out. So it's going to be interesting
and
to watch.
and I wonder if that's why Michael Gallup has had such a slow or uh, irrelevant start to the year.
Yeah.
Is he seems to be their downfield guy in that offense where Cooper goes for like 10 receptions for 90 yards. CD Lamb will go for like six for 75. Gallup he'll go like 2 for 52.
Now the
Um,
Cowboys, I know we're talking about Gallup, but they have a great replacement for their center, and that's Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin. He was a star blocker for the run game, but the thing was he wasn't athletic, so he fell to the fourth round. Cowboys picked him up, and they have a starting center. I think he's a all star. Like he was a I think a first team offensive lineman in the Big Ten, or second team at least. One of his years at Wisconsin, so I think he's a great pickup for them, and he's going to step in. But
I do remember them. I remember somebody after the draft happened analyzing the Cowboys draft and how well they did
mhm.
between CD Lamb falling, Diggs. Their corner has been very impressive as a rookie already this early in the season, and yeah, the center rings a bell as well.
Yeah, and then the Baltimore Ravens, they were all dinged up this week in practice, but it seems they're playing. Do
Yeah,
you want to
all
talk about the
dinged up.
players?
Yeah, so not a lot of information on any of the injuries as far as I could find because I think they all popped up midweek on the injury report. But, Lamar Jackson should be a go. I don't know if we'll see limited mobility from him or not. You
Mhm.
never know. And then Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews should both be a go. Mark Andrews is even if Mark Andrews only plays 20 snaps a game, the 20 snaps he's going to be on the field are going to be the important ones in the red zone, on third downs. He eats regardless of how many plays he's in.
Yeah,
So you're
definitely.
you're always starting Mark Andrews. Hollywood Brown's been a bit up and down this year. I don't know if Lamar Jackson's accuracy has been off. It's
I'm
what?
giving you a thumbs up because he's
Oh,
on the up and up. He got tackled
yeah,
at the 1 yard line this last week, saving a touchdown. So like he has the potential to get you a lot of points. He would have had six more points in most leagues if he had just gotten that touchdown. But I think with Lamar, if he's limited mobility wise, that they're going to give more screen passes to Hollywood Brown and let him try to work the outside, and then they're going to throw him deep down. And we'll see if Lamar's accuracy improves deep down past the hashes, like outside the hash marks, because that's where he's like struggling, and that's where Hollywood Brown is the best at.
right.
So he needs to hit those outside the hash mark throws because it's kind of upsetting as a Hollywood owner to see a great quarterback like Lamar not be able to hit those.
And if you watch Hollywood Brown's tape this year, he's getting open. Like he looks every bit the part right now. So yeah, I think this one's on Lamar and maybe a little bit the offensive scheme, but they're scheming him open. So really, at some point, Lamar's got to just get the bread in the bread basket.
And as soon as he does, he's gonna just catch fire. Lamar always catches fire, and then he's just gonna hit every throw for the rest of the year because that's Lamar Jackson and how he plays. Um, but speaking about catching fire, Raheem Mostert caught fire before he got injured. He had an 80-yard touchdown run, I believe, or 79-yard run, and now he was out for 2 weeks or a week, and he should be back this week, I think.
Yep, I believe his was an MCL sprain. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Of all of the knee injuries to succumb to in season in the NFL, MCL sprain is fairly straightforward to come back from. It all depends on the severity, of course, but it didn't seem like he was going to miss much time, and he's back. Unfortunately, maybe lowers the fire on Jerick McKinnon at this point, but there's always room for two running backs in that offense, I think. So
Hmm.
Mostert's a go. McKinnon is probably still a go, especially in PPR formats. And I
Yeah,
would
I really think it
expect.
just hurts Jeff Wilson.
What did you say?
I was saying I think it just hurts Jeff Wilson. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, but I imagine we'll see more injuries this season.
Yeah, that field is the sod on that field is pretty rough. I think Levi Stadium's always been bad for injuries, and FedEx Field as well for the Redskins has always been bad for injuries as well. After the RG3 career campaign, we saw he
And they
just had
had
so many non-contact injuries on that field.
right, right, and they just had back to back at MetLife Stadium against the Giants and the Jets.
Mm,
So that's a lot of
that's not
grass they're
good.
playing on.
Yeah. Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon had a chest injury last week, played through it, had a monster game. Now he's got a
Mm-hmm.
shin injury from all the fantasy owners kicking him in the shins for playing him.
But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah, of course he's expected to play. They said he got a full practice in Friday and looked every bit the part. So Mixon's a go. Hopefully they continue to use him in the passing game like they did a bit more last week. They
Hmm.
finally gave him that workhorse role that everybody's been waiting years for.
They
Hopefully,
finally
it
read
wasn't a
Twitter.
blip on the radar. Yeah, yeah. If the coaches of the NFL would just go on fantasy football Twitter more, they would have all the answers.
Dude, I would tell them everything they need to know and how to win. No problem. Just follow me on Twitter if you need to know at Matty Big Chest.
Yeah, yeah. I know I only have 120 followers, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Dude, you're a pretty good follow, man. You tweet good information and everything. So I think that everybody should follow you instead of me at DWZ underscore Dr. PT on
You
Twitter.
got
That's
it.
Dr. Kyle's Twitter handle. And I mean, you got a professional looking photo now. We both do for our
Thank you.
updates. Yeah, no problem, man. It looks awesome. So just saying, follow Dr. Kyle for breaking news or any questions you have. You can tweet him and he'll answer. Like,
Yeah, tell me what you guys want. Like I'm gonna keep saying it every time I get on here with either Matt or Memphis. Like, tell me what you guys want to hear. Like, if you want me to just say so and so practiced or so and so didn't practice, I can. But that's not
mhm.
very like that's not what I'm here for. That information is everywhere. There's other guys who've been doing that for years. Follow them for that if you want. I'll retweet those guys. Like, I don't care. This is all about just getting you guys the best information we can as quickly as we can, so you can
Yeah.
make the best fantasy football decisions.
I don't know how some of those dynasty doctors get those clips right away, but they tweet it within like minutes of it happening, and they're just like, "Oh, this is this is this is this." I'm just like, I didn't even know this happened yet.
Yeah, it's
Like the
impressive, and
Eckler
props to
injury.
them. Yeah, props to them. If that's what they want to make out of their lives, go for it. But I'll be
Hmm.
honest, I don't even think I've watched much uh, early or like the first two rounds of afternoon games most weeks this year. Doing other things
Hmm.
on Sunday, and then I'll get to the evening games on Sunday and Monday generally.
I mean, well, you're a busy man versus while they're sitting on their couches without work, you're out there going to Houston, and I'm not saying anything else, but you're working with actual players, so you have some good information that should be shared, and I think they should follow you for that reason. So you might not be the breaking news, but you are the brought news that is bringing it
I'm in the
joy.
trenches.
Yeah, you're bringing joy to people because you're telling them they're going to be back like Raheem Mostert, or you're bringing them a little bit of pain, like the Titans Bills game we're about to talk about that has brought me a lot of pain.
Ugh. Yeah, this one's interesting. Getting the group text this morning about guys, get your hedges in before 1 p.m. if you want your backup start for Titans or Bills. They did have a Titans coach or staff personnel test
Hmm.
positive this morning, which we're now about 2 weeks removed from their first positive.
Yeah,
Um, so the if they haven't canceled it yet, that means they're probably doing everything they can to justify playing it. I'm
yeah,
sure they're testing every player and every important coaching staff personnel at the moment to see if they could have some sort of game on Tuesday.
they
But
better.
again, yeah, yeah. Otherwise, that Titans Bills game is supposed to be Tuesday, which has
Hmm.
already moved the Bills Chiefs to from Thursday to Sunday, I believe. But if this gets postponed, then I think the Chiefs Bills goes back to Thursday. But then Bills and Titans players don't get paid, and they've
Yeah,
been working all week to get paid this week. So from a working man's perspective, having now worked with a number of NFL players, and we call it practice and games. They call it work. Like they go to work in the morning, they come home in the afternoon, and it's just a different work than we do. Yeah, obviously, I think we would all prefer to be playing a game to make money, but those guys are putting their bodies on the line every week to bring home a paycheck, and they only get to do it some 3 to 5 years. So this is unfortunate for the players, especially the Bills. If the Bills have done everything right and they have no positive tests, they're just going to be financial victims to the Tennessee Titans tomfoolery, just like
yeah.
shenanigans, tomfoolery, whatever other like cartoonish word you can come up with to describe this fucking like
Malarkey.
like just fuck Mike Vrabel and whatever this organization has done to tiptoe around COVID the past 2 weeks. Because like now the ripple effect out is just it's brutal. Like
Yeah.
it's hurting families who depend on money. Maybe they're not hurting as much as we are at times, but damn, like just selfish.
And those
Selfish.
players have other families that need money that they send to, and like maybe they can't send money to. And I think that they're doing the right thing to test all the players because we need to make sure that there's safety. And if they are testing positive, they should not have a game. Like I think that's stated and that's obvious, and we don't have to
Yeah,
explain that to people because I am more about the human rights aspect than I am about the money aspect for the NFL. So if there's like, I don't want players to be getting sick or dying on the field from COVID. So if they're getting sick, cancel the game, like
yep,
forfeit for the Titans. Like, but I really hope they do have a game and that the players come back negative and that maybe it was a false positive. Who knows? But the Jets had a false positive. So that was so it could be a false positive. Who knows? But it seems like
yeah,
it is a positive test.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. It is what it is, I suppose, at this point.
Mm-hmm. Nothing we can do about it as fantasy owners. I know in our Patreon leagues we said no backup players, so it's kind of stuck between limbo of do you want to start a Bills
Yeah.
player or not, or do you want to start like Isaiah Ford?
Here's a scenario for you. In leagues where you know everybody fairly well, would you just go out and text or message the guy you're playing against and be like, "Hey, let's if it looks like you're both trying to figure out to start Bills or Titans, would you just say, "Hey, you cool? We both start one from that game, or we both start two from that game, or we both start no from a game?" And anything wrong with the scenario there? You think?
um, I think you'd have to do that in the group chat just
Yeah,
to prove no collusion.
sure.
Because that could be considered collusion if it's like Corey Davis and Derrick Henry. Like if you're like one team is Corey Davis and one team is Derrick Henry, and it's like, well, you're missing all that running back production where one guy's missing like 10 points from Corey Davis. So it's like
If
27
you're
points
lucky.
from Derrick Henry. Yeah. So
Now,
it's
have
kind of
we
like,
seen a 27-point Derrick Henry performance this year? Or are we talking about Derrick Henry of 2019?
we're talking about Derrick Henry of 2019 here, but Derrick Henry, I think, had a pretty good performance week 2. I
Yeah, I
can't
think you're
remember.
right.
But he's a bowling ball, and he's against the Bills. Who knows what he would do? Their defense is pretty staunch, and they got Tremaine Edmonds, who's 6'7" at middle linebacker. So
That's
it's just
ridiculous.
nasty defense. They've drafted insanely well. So I really hope the game goes on because I want to see that defense play against the Tennessee offense because who knows what the Tennessee offense is after what 3 games?
Yeah, and
Johnny
I
Smith
want to
has just
watch.
went
I
off.
want to watch football on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Like,
Yeah,
give me football every day.
why? I don't know. I might be one of the people who's like in the wrong here, but I hope they have Tuesday night football from here on out. Like I want to see Saturday night college football. I want to see Friday night high school football. I want to watch Thursday night NFL, and then on Monday and Tuesday when there's nothing, I want to watch NFL as well. So I mean, why can't we have a flex game to Tuesday nights? I don't know.
Let's make it happen.
It would be so much more entertaining for people's weeks, and I think you'd see viewership go up for those games. So
Oh, for sure, for sure,
it's just a logistics thing, I guess.
always.
But as a logistics thing goes, our rosters are a logistics thing too, with all these injuries and all these games not happening. So I hope that we were able to shed some light on this. And thank you for joining me, Dr. Kyle. I know that we had to record this late, so I hope that everyone's able to watch this before the 1 o'clock slate.
Yeah,
Um, but hope you guys are doing well and stay healthy. And anything
you
you want to
stay
add,
healthy,
Kyle?
Matt.
I'm gonna try
Uh,
my best. Follow you
no.
on Twitter.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at DWZ underscore Dr. PT. You can watch me lose. I'll probably be over on my player prop bets after this week again. Uh, so you know what I'll start doing is I'll start telling you guys my player props, and you can just go in the opposite direction, and all should be well there. And this week's player props is James Robinson over 23.5 receiving yards, and Evan Ingram anytime touchdown against the Cowboys.
Yeah, you know that's gonna happen because Jason Garrett's coaching against his little boys there.
Yeah, the Cowboys defense
So
sucks, and their linebackers are decimated.
yeah, is Jalen
Feels like an
Smith
Evan
playing?
Ingram week. I believe he's playing. He's just not playing well.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I have him in IDP league, so maybe I gotta go take a look at that. But
Yeah.
other than that, guys, hope you have a great Sunday and enjoy week 5. We'll be back for week 6 later.